Hi everyone, it's Rax. The Infernal Hordes are a brand new mechanic in Season 5, and a lot of people have been wondering, are they good or not? Should I be doing them or not? Is there a strategy to it? We're going to answer all of that right now. And one thing that I can tell you straight away is I think the Infernal Hordes, I think pretty much without a doubt, are the most important thing in Diablo 4. It's as simple as that. It's the best source of XP. It's the best source of items. It's probably the best source of materials. I think it's the best source of masterworking materials. It's even better than the pit. It's the best thing. It's the best thing for gold. It's the best thing for everything. So you really want to understand how this works. And like always, we're going to make the guide real simple, cut out all the nonsense, and let's get right into it. So let's start with, how do you even do them? Well, in the beginning, there is going to be a quest in Season 5, where you're going to start here at the bottom in, I call it Zimbabwe, Zarbinzet. Zimbabwe is a better name. So here we are in Zimbabwe. There will be a seasonal quest. You can go through it. That's going to kind of ingratiate you into the mechanic. The season quest is kind of fun. And I think the season quest persists through world tiers 1 and 2. I think actually you can finish it if you want in the later world tiers. And then after a while, it's going to switch to a priority quest. And the priority quest is going to be called Eyes of the Enemy. Want to go through and complete that quest line, and boom, there you're going to have it. The Infernal Hordes are going to be unlocked. So in order to do them, you need these little compasses to drop. And they will drop in all of kind of your endgame activities, and you're doing nightmare dungeons or whatever, you will get some compasses to drop. Or you can just craft them at the occultist. So if you go here and you go craft Infernal Hordes, you can craft whatever tier that you would like to do. So when you get an Infernal Horde, I have a little cheat sheet over here. I have a 1-page outline of all the stuff I want to cover. I want to make sure I don't miss anything. You're going to get these little scrolls. You can right-click them and add them to a compass to increase its tier from 3 to 4. Okay, so you get the scrolls. You can level them up that way, or you can go here and just craft the higher tier ones. That is how you will get the key. And then it works exactly like a nightmare dungeon. You just right-click it, and it opens, and it takes you into a little red portal of hell, where you're going to be put in kind of like a gladiator arena. And there's going to be waves of monsters that are just going to keep attacking you. There's going to be events that spawn in the 4 corners. And if you do them, you're going to get more Aether, a resource. And then the amount of Aether that you collect by the end is going to determine your rewards. At the end, there is a boss fight where you fight the 3 council members. The strategy for them usually is to kill them at the same time. When you kill them early, they seem to get really angry and like buff each other. So I always target the highest HP one first, try to kill them at the same time. And that's the basic skeleton of how you go through it. So then this generates a lot of questions. First of all, what are the strategies here? How should I be thinking about this? I got you. So first of all, let's start off with, when should you do Infernal Hordes? Right now, according to me, I think this is an error, and I think Blizzard should change this. The Infernal Hordes don't drop glyphs. Glyphs are the things that you put into your Paragon boards. You don't get these in this game mode. I have 5 100s, all classes already, the first 3 days. I've never gotten a glyph in the Infernal Hordes. Not in the gameplay, not as a reward. If it continues to stay like that, you need to at least acquire your glyphs for your build, right? It's important. So what I've been doing is, when I get to World Tier 3 and World Tier 4, I do Nightmare Dungeons until I at least acquire my glyphs. Usually by the time you're level 70 or 75, you should have all of the glyphs. I'm not even talking about leveling them. I'm talking about just having them. Once you have that, you should come to the Infernal Hordes. Again, as I said earlier, it's the best XP, items, materials, gold, everything. You can get whatever you want here. So you should come here. Okay, so now you're here. Now, what do I do? Well, you kill the monster standing right there, and it does a single wave. I guess I can do one wave, as I don't want to do the whole thing. I don't want to waste your guys' time. It's supposed to be an efficient video. But let's do one wave here on the Fireball Sorcerer. And so how do I think about doing these? So first of all, whenever you increase the tier, currently it goes to tier 8. They're going to release higher tiers later, I believe they said. When you increase the tier, it gets way harder. And for the purposes of like leveling up and getting your character started, it's usually, I would say, not worth it. Later on, when you can get like 1,000,000 masterworking materials, it's very worth it when you have a strong character. Notice, see all the flashes? We go over here. This event is a guy spawning, okay, over here, and we go over here, and this is an Aether Fiend, right? So when you turn it up higher, the difficulty goes up significantly to the point where your character might be able to crush level 2, do fine in level 3, and then level 4 you're just chain dying all the time. Very, very common thing. So you can do just 2 and 3 the whole time and just cruise to 100, no problem at all. I like to farm on 3. If you got a pretty decent build, it's going to be easy mode. Later on, you're going to pump it up way higher. So at the end of every round, you're going to get these choices. First thing I'll tell you is it's much better to learn the names of them. There's not that many in the game. It's much better to learn the names rather than mouse over every time, read it, okay? Obviously, when you first start, you're going to have to read them, but you're only looking for some very, very specific things. So the first thing I will tell you about picking these rewards, it's way better to pick a mechanic and keep picking the mechanic. It's kind of like the Path of Exile Atlas tree, if you ever played that. It's not really, if you really want to make money in Path of Exile, usually the best strategy is, out of all the different things you could do, you pick one thing in your tree and you buff it to oblivion, and you do that. And that's how you make money. It's a similar concept here. So we want to find out what are the most valuable things and just keep picking them over and over and over. Making the selections in your boons, I would say, can double, if not triple, the amount of Aether that you get to spend on the rewards at the end. So with that in mind, what are the most valuable things to pick? Well, it's really easy. With the current state of the game, I think the most valuable thing by far, and maybe we should go to Paint for this. We love Paint. Let's open Paint here. Sorry for the flashbang. There we go. It went away. So what boons are you looking for? You are looking for Hellborn. The Hellborn are so good. It spawns, I don't know, little enemies in the corner, and then they come after you. And if you keep clicking Hellborn, Hellborn, more Aether from Hellborn, additional Hellborn, Hellborn seek you over and over and over, if you get wave and wave and wave of that, it's super godly. This is what I'm looking for every single time. Another very good one is double elites. And there's a reason why this one specifically, which is a mechanic that I don't have it confirmed, but I've done this a lot, and I just observe like what's going on. So when you're doing the different events, there's different events on how they work. They're pretty simple to figure out. I think you don't need to go through that. I think you just play it for a little bit and you'll understand. Some of you stand in the red circle and kill monsters. Some spawn a big giant monster, you kill it. It's not rocket science. But what seems to happen when you pick boons is, if I pick buff the elites and buff the Hellborn and buff the Soul Spires and buff the Aether Fiends, that when the game is choosing the events to spawn in the 4 corners, it's picking from those things that I've chosen. It makes sense, right? Oh, I picked those 4 things, so Blizzard's trying to help me, and Blizzard's trying to give me those events that I buffed. Well, that's great, and I'm not saying that's bad design, it's fine, but that means that your choices can really hurt you. So for example, so if I get Hellborn on the very first wave, and then I have a choice of saying, oh, a bunch of mechanics that I don't want to do, like Soul Spire or Aether Fiend or whatever, or I get something like 50% movement speed, even though these would technically give me a little bit more Aether, I pick this one. And the reason why I pick it is I don't want to load up the game with mechanics that I'm telling it that I want, because I don't want them. I want you to keep spawning Hellborn over and over and over. So what I'm trying to say is try not to load up on a million different mechanics. If you can pick like a generic thing instead of opening another mechanic, that will give you more opportunities to keep getting Hellborn, if that made sense. And then there is one more that's very, very good, and that's 50% more events. This one will just spawn you more events and hopefully more Hellborn. So this is the strategy that I am using all the time. I've talked to a lot of the people that are just pumping in the end game while I was busy leveling all 5 characters. They seem to agree that this strategy is extremely strong. So here we are. We got our boons. I want Hellborn. I want to pump elites. And I want 50% more events. I mean, I can already tell you, I don't think any of these are correct. Draining Spires, I already know I don't want that. The Soul Spires, that's an event I want nothing to do with. Okay. Normal monster damage, 25%. Gathering Aether increases movement speed. This is an excellent option that what I was talking about that doesn't really have to do with an event. It just buffs normal damage and just gives you movement speed. This is something that I would click if I didn't have Hellborn elites or the extra events, right? Then in here, Aether Mass. Don't want that either, and they do more damage and give you more Aether. So here, these choices are bad. I would probably pick this and go to look for Hellborn. And do that stuff over and over and over. And by the end of it, if you get a wave where you get Hellborn spawn on the very first one, and on the second one, you get 50% faster events, and then you're lucky enough to get like Hellborn, double elites, yada, 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 you're going to be frying. So we'll see if Blizzard makes changes to it. This said, I think in the campfire, that they have future plans for cooler boons and banes. When they redo them, I'll make another video, try to find another strategy. But unless there's a better strategy than Hellborn, which I've done a lot of these, I haven't seen anything better. It seems to be the way to go. Okay, so there's that. So now you might be wondering, okay, but what about the rewards? Like, you say it's so good. Well, why do I care? Okay, so when you do at least 3 or higher, you start to get these different chests. You get the greater affix, you get the greater chest, okay? You get the equipment chest, you get the mats chest, and then you get the gold chest. Okay? Well, from what I've seen, unless this is different at the highest levels, I don't think you can ever order the greater affix or open the greater affix chest more than once, and it costs 60. So usually the first thing I do is I open this, okay, to see what kind of good loot that I have. When you're at a very low level, you might really want equipment. Not just for equipment to put on your character, but if you keep spawning legendaries, which you can easily spawn a full inventory of legendaries in one run, if you get a lot of Aether, if you get the good setup with the Hellborn, which is common, by the way. It's not rare to get a good setup if you know what you're doing. So it'll fill up your codex of power. So you can actually get all of your, get your right imprints. So I like to open the greater affix thing, and then I like to get a lot of equipment early to fill up my codex. And then when you drop below 20 Aether, always finish off by grabbing a big pile of gold. It'll help you. You're going to run out of gold. I guarantee it. Later on in the higher tiers, you can get masterworking materials. This is very valuable. And people are saying you get more masterworking materials in this than you can even in the pit. It kind of obsoletes the pit. Long term, that's probably not healthy for the game. Short term, in the season, it's the new event. It's kind of whatever, right? So keep that in mind as you get really strong. You can definitely masterwork your gear from doing this. Or you might be completely bankrupt and you have no gold and you desperately need gold. You can absolutely fire up an Infernal Horde and just pick all gold. You have 300 Aether, put it into gold. You get like 10 million gold instantly. It's nice. It's way better than, well, better is subjective, but it's way more gold per hour, let's say, than doing even Whispers. Okay. And then one final question that you guys might be asking is, okay, I'm doing these Infernal Hordes. What are the best builds for this? Like, what should I be aiming for? Looks to me like, unless I see something different, and I'm going to build this today on stream, the best build in the game right now is Lightning Spear Sorcerer. Lightning Spear Sorcerers can go into T7 and just instantly obliterate it. Just delete it effortlessly. My friend Debooty, been friends with him for a long time in Diablo 3 and World of Warcraft. Very good player. He's been frying these. He joined my stream yesterday and showed us the real power of Lightning Spear Sorcerer. It's completely busted. So I'm going to build it today. I'll get it super strong. I'll make a full guide on it. It looks completely cracked. It's unbelievable how strong he is. Definitely nerf territory for next patch at least. But anything with really, really good AoE in the events, you can spawn Uber Butcher, you can spawn spoiler, you can get Uber Butcher, you can get Aether Lords that are really hard bosses. In general, those aren't very good boon. They're not very rewarding to take them anyway, so we don't take them. So it's much better to not pick those and just pick massive AoE so you can move about the events and systematically complete them. One thing let me add about actually playing and doing the events is you'll notice some events there's a 60-second timer for every wave. Some events end right at 60 seconds. If you haven't completed it, you lose. But some of them persist. Like if you spawn them, you can still kill them. For example, the Hellborn, they persist. So if I'm at the end of a run and I can see up here, oh, 3 Hellborns spawned over here, and there's a Soul Spire to my left, and there's like 3 seconds left, what I'm going to do is I'm going to teleport over here and try to quickly, with the 3 seconds I've got left, finish the Soul Spire. Because after it disappears, the Hellborn will still be there, and you can kill them. Again, there's not that many mechanics in the game, or currently in the system. You'll pick this up pretty easily. Probably after doing one day of it, you'll understand what stays and what doesn't. But keep that in mind, that if you're pressed for time, try to complete one that is about to disappear. And that's pretty much it, guys. I'm just taking a look right here at my little sheet. I think I've covered pretty much everything that you need to know. So that's my Infernal Horde guide, and I hope this really helps you guys. If you don't mind, real quick, let's quickly do a plug for one of my sponsors that I've had for a long time, G Fuel. They've been sending me these Wumpa Fruit Crash Bandicoot cans. I'd say it's probably my second favorite one. It's like a punch. No calories and no sugar in any of G Fuel's products, the cans or the tubs or anything like that. I really like this one and drink them all the time. I know people say, you're not supposed to drink energy drinks. Well, everything's okay in small doses, right? I've been drinking energy drinks since I was like 15 years old. So probably never going to stop, but everything's fine in moderation. Anyway, they have a sale going on right now. If you're interested, through August 13th, here it is. And the more that you spend, the more that you save. So there'll be a link down below if you'd like to pick up some G Fuel. Just want to thank them for, honestly, all the cans that they've been sending me. I love Clickbait, the grape one, and this new Wumpa Fruit one. It's way sweeter than you would think for having 0 sugar in it. So thank you, G Fuel. That's it, guys. Hope this guide helped you. Blizzard will make changes to this event. For sure, they will make changes. When they make changes, I will be there to test it, and I'll tell you guys the new things about it, and we'll stay on top of this pretty cool game mode. Pretty huge improvement for the PTR. It's way more fun than it used to be, and it's honestly, it's the most rewarding thing in the game. So, pretty good. Thank you.